What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman. Now, stemming back long before we ever got the title to No Way Home, the third installment for the Spider-Man franchise, there was a ton of conjecture that this was actually going to be a Spider-Verse multiverse film. Of course, we had the leaked trailer from one of the Latin American Sony channels that seemed to indicate so, and even though Tom Holland has vehemently denied any involvement by Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, he said he's read the whole script and they're not in there. We also know that Marvel's new MO for their actors is to just deny everything, i.e. see Tatiana Maslany being asked point blank about She-Hulk. Her answer was a definitive no, said it simply wasn't true, and of course she was cast as such. Well, now we have a brand new rumor coming in the form of an exclusive. We're going to break down what this article reported from their sources, what it says about the upcoming film, and how No Way Home may mean and refer to something completely different than Tom Holland's Peter Parker in film not being able to get to his home, but rather Peter Parker ending up in a different multiverse, the Sonyverse, with the introduction of Miles Morales in his stead. I'm also going to weigh in on my thoughts, as we've reported on the deal between Sony and Disney several times over the last couple of years. I've kept up with all the industry insiders. I have my own thing to say about it. We're going to break down everything Spider-Man No Way Home in the introduction of Miles Morales via this brand new report. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button, we're still giving away a PlayStation 5 at 800,000 subscribers, which we're about to ding, as well as Disney Plus subscriptions while the shows are live. If you want to be entered to win, all you have to do, hit the subscribe button, then leave a comment down below, and if you want, stick around to the end of the video. We'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. So first up, let's talk about where this report and rumor is coming from. Published yesterday under the headline, Exclusive, Sony Marvel splits Spider-Man into two separate franchises. This coming from a website called thathashtagshow.com. Not a site we report on a lot at this channel, new to this scene, so I consider this an uncorroborated report, and until we hear from another industry insider or two, I want to take it as just a rumor. They go on to report, quote, Sony and Marvel coexisting with separate universes, so where does this leave Spider-Man? Well, that was a huge point of contention during the Sony-Marvel renegotiations that happened a while back. They want to future-proof this franchise, so yes, No Way Home is going to have a lot of Spider-Verse stuff. However, it's also going to set up the future of Spider-Man. We have exclusively learned that Sony will continue to make their SCEU films, with Marvel continuing to make Spider-Man as well. That means splitting the franchise in two. From what I've heard from reliable sources, Marvel is looking to create two Spider-Man franchises. One will continue Peter Parker's story, this time with him at university. The other will focus on Miles Morales. It's said that Marvel is keen to use Miles in their upcoming Young Avengers project and see a lot of value in him. From what I've heard from my sources, No Way Home is going to provide us a much clearer roadmap for Spider-Man in the MCU. I've also heard reports that Spider-Man 4 will film back-to-back with No Way Home. We have yet to corroborate this, though, and we'll keep digging to get more information. Either way, Marvel is already looking for writers and directors for these two franchises. Peter and Miles will have two completely different stories. They want writers and directors who can bring a distinct voice to each character. So this seems to imply that Marvel will continue working with Sony on Tom Holland's story, where it is definitely and 100% locked in. Peter Parker, Tom Holland's iteration, I cannot say this enough, his story is in the MCU continuity. His roots are with Iron Man and the Avengers. To take him out of that and put him solely in the Sonyverse so he can start squaring off against Venom and Morbius with no connection to the MCU films would be a huge mistake for not only his character and his narrative, but for the MCU and Sony as well. If they want to continue this cash cow, this iteration of the character is very much intertwined with the success and the storylines in the MCU. But I get them not wanting to confuse fans, and as I've said a million times, Sony wants to keep making as much money as they can off their main IP. You have to understand, Sony's studio house makes far fewer movies than many of the other houses out there, and Spider-Man by far is their most lucrative intellectual property. So being able to make money off both Peter Parker and Miles Morales in the Marvel Cinematic Universe context at the same time just means more and more and more money for Sony, well, and Marvel as well. And if they're bothering to do a Spider-Verse film in this next film, which, you know, Tom Holland said that they weren't, but who knows at this point? We all saw that Sony trailer. It definitely existed and was professional and was 100% real because Sony copyright struck it, my channel and a couple of other YouTube channels that put it up. there's an interesting idea here that they would want to make sure that fans know exactly the difference and distinction between these two Spider-Men, where they fit in, and what part of the story they're a part of. Now, we reported over a year ago that Miles Morales would be making his way into the MCU and joining the Young Avengers. That's nothing new. Also nothing new, Mikey Sutton, trusted industry insider, friend of channel, the guy who originally leaked that Peter Parker would be in Civil War all the way back in the day. I mean, this is the guy who said Black Panther and Spider-Man were coming in Civil War. Always has indicated from the beginning that Peter Parker, Tom Holland's iteration, will stay in the MCU past this trilogy. In fact, they're going on to sign a huge deal, could possibly be as many as 6 more movies for 2 more trilogies for Peter Parker, including what other ancillary films he might show up in along the way. There is a future for Peter Parker in the MCU. Sony understands that, Marvel understands that, they're not going to blow that up. But now introducing this next Spider-Man and Miles Morales, as long as they go ahead and make a distinction between the two and sort of define the boundaries for the fans, I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with this. And it actually makes good on an original Easter egg all the way back in Homecoming when Donald Glover's character references his nephew in the neighborhood. That's none other than Miles Morales. It was only going to be a matter of time with him taking the marquee on PS5 and where we're at now with Peter Parker's story in the MCU before we saw a second Spider-Man. And if they're doing a Spider-Verse movie, what better opportunity to introduce Miles Morales, a second Spider-Man, into the MCU? I should also mention that it does free them up a little bit to make sure they have different villains and different storylines going for the two. And if you're making Miles Morales join the Young Avengers, that frees up Peter Parker to do other things like face off against Morbius, Venom, Maximum Carnage, that sort of thing. They don't need to be in the same place at the same time. And that's what's awesome about this. Guys, let me know all your thoughts down below. I know that this is more of a rumor than a report, but it's interesting and fun to talk about. And how hype would you be to see Miles Morales on the big screen? I am all ears. I'm super excited for his iteration of the character. Let me know all your thoughts down below, and quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. We're still giving away a PlayStation 5 at 800,000 subscribers, which we are headlong into and could easily hit by the end of this week or next. We're also giving away Disney Plus subscriptions every Friday while the shows are live, this Friday included. If you want to be entered to win, all the same rules will always apply for future prizes as well. All you have to do, hit the subscribe button, then leave a comment down below. Because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be randomly selected and announced at the end of videos the same way we're doing here. The best way to keep up with the content, of course, is to hit the notification bell with notifications turned on. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. You can find me over on Twitter and Instagram at IamFires. You can find me on Spotify and all other musical platforms under the name All Fires with original music. Guys, thanks so much for checking out the channel. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.